The morning sun cast long shadows across Camp Pendleton as Sergeant Jake Morrison walked alongside his four-legged partner, Rex. The German shepherd's ears stood alert, scanning the training grounds with the same intensity that had made him legendary among the Marines. Rex wasn't just any military dog. He was a decorated veteran who had served 3 tours overseas, detecting explosives and saving countless lives. Rex had earned his reputation through courage and intelligence that seemed almost human. During his service in Afghanistan, he had successfully identified over 200 improvised explosive devices, earning him the title of Guardian Angel among the troops. His keen senses and unwavering loyalty had made him a symbol of hope in the darkest moments of combat. But today was different. Rex moved with less spring in his step, and Jake noticed the gray creeping into his muzzle. At 8 years old, Rex was approaching retirement age for military dogs. The thought of saying goodbye to his faithful companion weighed heavily on Jake's mind as they made their way to the kennels for the morning routine. The base veterinarian, Dr. Sarah Chen, had been monitoring Rex's health closely. While he remained in good condition, the years of service were beginning to show. Jake knew that soon he would have to make the difficult decision about Rex's future. Military dogs like Rex often faced uncertain paths after retirement. Some were adopted by their handlers. Others found civilian families, and sadly, some struggled to adapt to life outside the structured military environment. As they approached the kennel area, Rex suddenly stopped and tilted his head. His behavior shifted from the usual disciplined march to something more curious and alert. Jake followed Rex's gaze toward a small maintenance shed behind the main kennel building. The dog's tail began to wag slightly, and he pulled gently toward the structure. Jake trusted Rex's instincts completely. If something had caught the dog's attention, it was worth investigating. They moved closer to the shed, and that's when Jake heard it, a faint whimpering sound coming from behind the building. Rex's maternal instincts, rarely seen in the military setting, seemed to be awakening. Behind the shed, nestled in a pile of old blankets that someone had discarded, Jake discovered 3 tiny puppies. They couldn't have been more than a few weeks old, their eyes barely open, and they were clearly abandoned. The puppies were different breeds. One appeared to be a German Shepherd mix, another looked like a Labrador blend, and the third seemed to be a Beagle cross. Rex approached the puppies with remarkable gentleness. The battle-hardened military dog, who had faced enemy fire and dangerous situations without flinching, carefully sniffed each puppy and then looked up at Jake with an expression that seemed to say, "We need to help them." Jake's mind raced. Military bases had strict protocols about animals, and taking in strays was against regulations. But looking at the helpless puppies and seeing Rex's protective stance over them, he knew he couldn't just walk away. These puppies would die without immediate care, and something in Rex's behavior suggested this moment was more significant than just a random discovery. The puppies were weak and obviously hungry. Jake carefully picked them up, noting how small and fragile they felt in his hands. Rex walked alongside him, occasionally stopping to look back as if making sure all the puppies were accounted for. It was as if the veteran dog had suddenly found a new mission, one that didn't involve detecting explosives or following commands, but something more fundamental and nurturing. Jake made a quick decision that would change everything. Instead of reporting the find immediately, he took the puppies to the unused storage room adjacent to Rex's quarters. He knew he was taking a risk that could affect his military career, but watching Rex's gentle behavior with the orphaned animals convinced him this was the right thing to do. As Jake settled the puppies into a makeshift bed of towels, Rex positioned himself nearby, watching over them with the same vigilance he had once used to protect his fellow Marines. The transformation in the veteran dog was remarkable, the stern military working. Dog was revealing a softer side that none of his handlers had ever witnessed. Little did Jake know that this moment would spark a chain of events that would not only change Rex's retirement plans but also touch the hearts of everyone on the base. The discovery of these 3 orphaned puppies was about to give Rex a new purpose and show the entire military community that sometimes the most important missions are the ones that choose you. The first 24 hours were critical. Jake knew the puppies needed immediate medical attention, but he also knew that officially reporting them might result in their removal from the base. He made a careful plan to approach Dr. Sarah Chen privately, hoping her love for animals would override strict military protocols. When Jake brought the puppies to the veterinary clinic after hours, Dr. Chen was initially shocked. Military bases weren't animal shelters, and unauthorized animals could create serious complications. But as she examined the tiny creatures, her professional instincts took over. The puppies were severely dehydrated and malnourished, requiring immediate intervention to survive. "These puppies are maybe 4 weeks old," Dr. Chen explained as she carefully checked each one. "They've been separated from their mother too early and need specialized care. Without proper nutrition and warmth, they won't make it through the week." What surprised Dr. Chen most was Rex's behavior during the examination. The normally stoic military dog positioned himself where he could see all 3 puppies, whining softly whenever they cried. When she tried to separate Rex from the puppies for the examination, he became agitated, not aggressive, but clearly distressed at being away from them. "I've never seen anything like this," Dr. Chen told Jake. "Rex is exhibiting classic maternal protective behaviors. It's as if he's adopted them as his own pack." Jake explained how Rex had discovered the puppies and his immediate protective response. Dr. Chen listened thoughtfully, weighing the medical needs of the animals against military regulations. Finally, she made a decision that would set everything in motion. "Officially, I can't authorize keeping stray animals on base," she said, "but these puppies need round-the-clock care for at least 2 weeks. Rex seems to be providing them with emotional comfort they desperately need. I'm going to treat this as a temporary medical situation." The next morning, word began to spread quietly among the Marines about Rex and his adopted puppies. Jake had moved them to a larger space in the supply building, creating a comfortable area where Rex could care for his new charges. The veteran dog had taken his role seriously, rarely leaving the puppy's side except for essential duties. Rex's transformation was remarkable to witness. The dog, who had been trained to detect danger and follow orders, was now gently nudging the puppies when they wandered too far, lying still so they could sleep against his warm body, and even attempting to carry them in his mouth when he thought they were in unsafe locations. The smallest puppy, the beagle mix that the Marines had started calling Peanut, was particularly weak. Rex seemed to sense this and gave Peanut extra attention, often positioning himself so the tiny puppy could sleep between his front paws. When Dr. Chen came for daily checkups, she was amazed by Rex's intuitive understanding of each puppy's needs. Marine Captain Robert Hayes, the base commander, had been informed about the situation by the 3rd day. Jake expected the worst. He had violated regulations by harboring unauthorized animals, and he knew it could result in disciplinary action. When he was called to Captain Hayes' office, he prepared for the consequences of his decision, but Captain Hayes surprised him. "Sergeant Morrison, I understand you've been caring for some puppies that Rex discovered," the captain said. "I also understand that Dr. Chen believes Rex's presence is crucial for their survival." Jake stood at attention, ready to accept responsibility. "Yes, sir. I take full responsibility for my actions." Captain Hayes studied him for a moment. "Rex has served this country with distinction for 8 years. If he's found a new mission in caring for these animals, perhaps we should consider supporting that mission rather than shutting it down." The captain had received numerous reports from Marines who had witnessed Rex's behavior with the puppies. The stories were consistent. The veteran dog had found new purpose and energy in caring for the orphaned animals. Several Marines had commented that they had never seen Rex look happier or more content. "Here's what we're going to do," Captain Hayes continued. "This is now an official temporary animal welfare operation. Dr. Chen will oversee the medical care, and you'll continue as Rex's handler in this capacity. But this arrangement is temporary, and we need to find permanent solutions for these animals." Jake felt a surge of relief, but he also understood the underlying message. They had bought time, but decisions would still need to be made about the future of both Rex and the puppies. For now, though, Rex could continue his self-appointed mission as guardian and protector of 3 small lives that depended entirely on his care. As Jake returned to check on Rex and the puppies, he found the German Shepherd lying contentedly as all 3 puppies slept curled against his body. The sight reminded him why he had taken the risk in the first place. Sometimes doing the right thing required breaking the rules, and sometimes the most important missions were the ones that chose you rather than the ones you were assigned. As the days passed, Rex's dedication to the 3 puppies became legendary throughout Camp Pendleton. Marines who had known him only as a fierce and disciplined working dog were witnessing a completely different side of his personality. The transformation was so remarkable that it began attracting attention from beyond the base. The largest puppy, whom the Marines had nicknamed Tank due to his bold personality and German Shepherd features, was thriving under Rex's care. Tank seemed to model himself after his adoptive father, trying to walk with the same confident stride and alert posture. Rex encouraged this behavior, often walking slowly so Tank could keep up during their supervised outdoor time. Honey, the Labrador mix, was the most social of the three puppies. She had a golden coat and friendly disposition that reminded everyone of a therapy dog. Honey seemed to understand that Rex was her protector and would often bring him toys or sticks as offerings. Rex would accept these gifts solemnly, as if understanding the importance of maintaining the puppy's trust and affection. But it was Peanut, the smallest beagle mix, who captured everyone's hearts with his determination to overcome his weak start in life. Under Rex's constant attention, Peanut had gained weight and strength, though he remained the most dependent on his adoptive father. Rex seemed to recognize Peanut's special needs and never let him stray far from his side. Dr. Chen documented Rex's caregiving behaviors in her medical reports, noting behaviors that she had never seen in military working dogs. Rex would position himself between the puppies and any perceived threats, including unfamiliar people or loud noises. He had learned to eat quickly so he could return to watching over his charges, and he showed signs of stress whenever separated from them for extended periods. The story of Rex and his adopted puppies began, reaching local media when a visiting journalist noticed the unusual activity around the base's temporary animal care area. Staff Sergeant Lisa Rodriguez, the base's public affairs specialist, realized they had an opportunity to share a positive story about military life and animal welfare. This story represents everything good about military values, Rodriguez explained to Captain Hayes. Rex embodies loyalty, service, and protection, but now he's showing those qualities in a completely different context. People need to hear about this. Captain Hayes agreed to limited media coverage, understanding that the story could generate positive attention for the base, while highlighting the important work of military working dogs. The first news segment aired on local television, showing Rex gently supervising the puppies during their playtime. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The base received hundreds of calls and emails from people wanting to help or learn more about Rex's story. Animal welfare organizations offered support, local businesses wanted to donate supplies, and families from across the country expressed interest in adopting the puppies when they were old enough. But the most significant response came from an unexpected source. Dr. Maria Santos, a veterinary behaviorist from UC Davis, contacted the base after seeing the news coverage. She specialized in animal psychology and was particularly interested in studying Rex's maternal behaviors toward the orphaned puppies. What Rex is demonstrating is extremely rare in military working dogs, Dr. Santos explained during her visit to the base. These dogs are trained to suppress many natural social behaviors in favor of their working roles. To see Rex expressing such strong nurturing instincts suggests a remarkable emotional intelligence. Dr. Santos spent several days observing Rex and the puppies, documenting behaviors that could contribute to research about military dog psychology and post-service care. She noted that Rex's stress levels, measured through cortisol testing, had actually decreased since taking on his caregiver role. Despite the additional responsibilities, Rex appears to have found his retirement calling, Dr. Santos reported, rather than experiencing the depression and anxiety that some military dogs face after active duty. He's channeled his protective instincts into caring for these puppies. It's providing him with purpose and mental stimulation that's keeping him healthy and engaged. Meanwhile, the puppies continued to grow stronger under Rex's watchful care. Tank was becoming more confident and playful, often initiating games that Rex would tolerate with remarkable patience. Honey was developing her social skills, greeting visitors with enthusiasm while always checking back with Rex for approval. Peanut, though still the smallest, was showing increasing independence while maintaining his special bond with his adoptive father. The Marines on base had become invested in the story, often stopping by to check on the unusual family. Many commented that watching Rex with the puppies reminded them of the importance of care and protection that extended beyond military duties. The veteran dog was teaching them about service in its purest form, not for recognition or reward, but simply because it was needed. As the puppies approached 8 weeks old, everyone knew that decisions would soon need to be made about their permanent homes. Rex had given them the foundation they needed to become healthy, well-socialized dogs. But his temporary mission was nearing its end. The question that weighed on everyone's minds was what would happen to Rex once his adopted children no longer needed his care. The challenge of finding permanent homes for 3 puppies, who had become celebrities, proved more complex than anyone anticipated. Hundreds of families had applied to adopt Tank, Honey, and Peanut, but Dr. Chen and the base leadership wanted to ensure the puppies went to homes that understood their unique background and special needs. Rex seemed to sense that changes were coming. As the puppies became more independent, able to eat solid food and play on their own, he remained vigilant but began showing signs of the separation anxiety that Dr. Santos had warned about. The veteran dog had invested everything in caring for these 3 lives, and the prospect of losing them was clearly causing him distress. Jake noticed Rex's behavioral changes first. The dog who had been sleeping peacefully through the night was now restless, checking on the puppies multiple times after they had settled down. During the day, Rex would position himself where he could see all 3 puppies simultaneously, rarely relaxing his guard even when they were safely contained in their play area. Captain Hayes called a meeting with Dr. Chen, Jake, and Dr. Santos to discuss the future. The puppies were now 9 weeks old and fully capable of being placed in permanent homes, but everyone recognized that separating them from Rex would be traumatic for all involved. "We have several excellent applications," Dr. Chen reported. "The Johnson family in San Diego has experience with rescue dogs and specifically requested Tank. A retired teacher in Oregon wants to give Honey a home where she can potentially become a therapy dog. And there's a veteran in Texas who lost his own dog recently and feels a special connection to Peanut." Dr. Santos had been studying Rex's attachment behaviors and had concerns about abrupt separation. "Rex has formed what we would call a parental bond with these puppies. Sudden separation could trigger depression, anxiety, and even physical health problems. We need to consider a gradual transition process." But Jake had been thinking about an entirely different solution. "What if we didn't have to separate them completely?" he asked. "What if Rex could maintain some connection to the puppies even after they're adopted?" The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. It was an unusual request that would require cooperation from the adoptive families and creative planning from the base leadership. Captain Hayes was intrigued by the possibility. "Explain what you're thinking, Sergeant Morrison." Jake had spent weeks watching Rex's dedication to the puppies, and had come to understand that this mission had given the veteran dog a new lease on life. Rex is approaching retirement age anyway. Instead of a traditional retirement placement, what if he could become a mentor dog for military animal programs? He could visit the puppies periodically, help train other dogs, and continue serving in a capacity that builds on what he's learned from this experience. Dr. Santos was immediately interested in the concept. There's growing research about using retired military dogs in therapy and training roles. Rex has demonstrated remarkable nurturing abilities that could be valuable in helping socialize young dogs or working with animals that have trauma backgrounds. The conversation continued for hours as they explored possibilities. Could the adoptive families be chosen based partly on their willingness to maintain contact with Rex? Could the base develop a program that would allow Rex to continue his caregiving work with other animals in need? Could this unique situation become a model for helping other military dogs transition to retirement? Meanwhile, Rex continued his daily routine with the puppies, unaware that their future was being debated. Tank had grown confident enough to venture further from Rex's side during play sessions, but he always returned to check in with his adoptive father. Honey was practicing the social skills that would make her an excellent family pet, but she still sought Rex's approval for her interactions with visitors. Peanut remained the most attached to Rex, often sleeping curled against the larger dog's side even though he no longer needed the warmth for survival. The breakthrough came when Jake received a call from David Martinez, a retired Marine who lived on a small ranch outside San Diego. Martinez had seen the news coverage and was interested in adopting not just one of the puppies, but potentially providing a retirement home for Rex as well. "I lost my own dog 6 months ago," Martinez explained during his visit to the base. I have experience with military working dogs and I understand what Rex has been through. My property is large enough for multiple dogs, and I'd be honored to give Rex a retirement where he could stay connected to at least one of his adopted puppies. When Martinez met Rex and the puppies, the connection was immediate. Rex seemed to recognize a fellow veteran, and his usual caution around strangers was replaced by calm acceptance. Tank, perhaps sensing the significance of the moment, approached Martinez with the confident stride he had learned from watching Rex. The visit went so well that Captain Hayes began exploring whether other adoptive families might be open to similar arrangements. If Rex could maintain connections with all 3 puppies through planned visits and ongoing relationships with their adoptive families, it might provide the gradual transition that Dr. Santos recommended while ensuring Rex's emotional well-being during retirement. As discussions continued, everyone realized they were potentially creating something unprecedented, a retirement plan for a military working dog that honored both his service record and his newly discovered nurturing abilities. Rex had saved lives during his military career, and now he was teaching everyone involved about different kinds of service and different definitions of family. The solution that emerged surprised everyone with its elegance and thoughtfulness. After weeks of careful planning, the base leadership developed a retirement program for Rex that would allow him to maintain connections with all 3 puppies while beginning a new chapter of service in civilian life. David Martinez's ranch became the cornerstone of the plan. Located just 2 hours from Camp Pendleton, the property would serve as Rex's primary retirement home and Tank's permanent residence. Martinez had military experience and understood Rex's needs, but more importantly, he was committed to facilitating Rex's ongoing relationships with Honey and Peanut. The Johnson family in San Diego, who wanted to adopt Honey, enthusiastically agreed to regular visits with Rex. Sarah Johnson, a veterinary technician, recognized the therapeutic value of maintaining the bond between Rex and Honey. Honey is going to be a therapy dog, she explained. Having Rex as a mentor could actually enhance her training and provide her with emotional stability. The most heartwarming response came from Robert Chen, the retired veteran in Texas who wanted to adopt Peanut. Despite the distance, Chen was determined to maintain Peanut's connection to Rex. That dog saved Peanut's life, Chen said during a video call with the base leadership. I'm not about to separate them permanently. We'll make regular trips to California, and Rex will always be welcome in our home. Dr. Santos worked with all 3 families to develop a transition plan that would minimize trauma for both Rex and the puppies. The separations would be gradual, with the puppies spending increasing amounts of time with their adoptive families while returning to Rex for overnight visits. This process would allow everyone to adjust slowly to the new arrangements. The first test came when Tank spent a weekend at Martinez's ranch. Rex was clearly anxious during the separation, pacing and whining occasionally, but he seemed to understand that Tank was safe. When Tank returned full of new smells and experiences, Rex inspected him thoroughly before settling down with obvious relief. Rex is learning to trust that the puppies will come back, Dr. Chen observed. It's similar to how human parents learn to let their children become independent while maintaining their emotional bonds. The media attention around Rex's story had created another unexpected opportunity. The American Kennel Club contacted the base about featuring Rex in their military dog recognition program. Additionally, several animal welfare organizations wanted to use Rex's story to promote adoption of senior dogs and military working dog retirement programs. But perhaps the most significant development came from the Department of Defense itself. Rex's case had reached officials who were studying military working dog retirement and welfare programs. His successful transition from active duty to a nurturing caregiving role challenged traditional assumptions about what retired military dogs could accomplish. Colonel Jennifer Walsh from the Military Working Dog Program visited Camp Pendleton to meet Rex and understand his unique situation. What Rex has demonstrated could revolutionize how we think about retirement for our working dogs, she explained. Instead of seeing retirement as the end of their service, we could develop programs that utilize their skills and experience in new ways. The colonel was particularly interested in Rex's potential as a mentor for young military dogs entering training programs. His calm demeanor and proven ability to guide and protect could be valuable assets in helping new recruits adjust to military life. Additionally, his experience with the orphaned puppies suggested he might be effective in working with rescue dogs or animals with trauma backgrounds. As the formal adoption process moved forward, Rex seemed to adapt to his changing role. He remained protective and caring toward all 3 puppies, but he was also beginning to show interest in other activities around the base. Marines reported that Rex was more social with humans, often approaching them for attention in ways he had never done during his active duty years. Jake, who would soon be saying goodbye to his longtime partner, was amazed by Rex's resilience and adaptability. "I always knew Rex was special," he told Dr. Chen during one of their final veterinary checkups. "But watching him with these puppies has shown me qualities I never knew he had. He's not just a military dog, he's a natural teacher and protector." The final preparations included microchipping all 3 puppies with special identification that would allow for easy tracking and communication between the families. Each adoptive family received detailed medical records, behavioral assessments, and contact information for continued support from Dr. Chen and Dr. Santos. Most importantly, everyone involved committed to maintaining the extended family that Rex had created. Regular video calls would allow Rex to see all 3 puppies. Planned visits would bring the families together several times per year, and emergency protocols ensured that Rex could be reunited with any of the puppies if needed. As the adoption day approached, the entire base was invested in the outcome. Rex had become more than just a military working dog. He had become a symbol of adaptation, love, and the power of finding new purpose. The puppies he had raised were healthy, well socialized, and ready for their new lives, but they would never forget the lessons they learned from their adoptive father about loyalty, protection, and unconditional care. 6 months after the adoption day, the impact of Rex's story continued to ripple far beyond anyone's expectations. What had begun as one dog's instinctive response to help 3 abandoned puppies had evolved into a model program that was changing military working dog retirement policies across the country. Rex had settled beautifully into his retirement at David Martinez's ranch. The veteran dog had his own comfortable quarters but spent most of his time overseeing the property with Tank, who had grown into a confident and loyal companion. Martinez often joked that he had adopted 2 dogs for the price of 1, since Rex had naturally assumed responsibility for Tank's continued training and socialization. The regular visits with Honey and Peanut had become treasured events for all involved. Every 6 weeks, the families would gather at various locations in California, allowing Rex to maintain his bonds with all 3 of his adopted children. These reunions were emotional affairs, with Rex immediately falling into his protective routine, and the now-grown puppies reverting to their puppy behaviors around their adoptive father. Honey had indeed become a certified therapy dog, just as the Johnson family had planned. Sarah Johnson credited Rex's early nurturing for Honey's exceptional emotional intelligence and gentle nature with hospital patients. Honey seems to understand that her job is to comfort and protect, just like Rex taught her, Johnson observed during one of their visits. Peanut's story with Robert Chen in Texas had captured national attention when Chen began documenting their life together on social media. The smallest of the 3 puppies had grown into a confident and adventurous dog, but he maintained the special sensitivity that Rex had nurtured during his early weeks. Chen's posts about their monthly trips to visit Rex had gained hundreds of thousands of followers who were invested in maintaining this unique family connection. But Rex's influence extended far beyond his 3 adopted puppies. The Department of Defense had officially launched the Rex program, a pilot initiative that utilized retired military working dogs as mentors and trainers for both new military dogs and rescue animals. Rex himself had become the program's first official participant, working with young dogs entering military training and helping rehabilitate animals with trauma backgrounds. Dr. Santos had documented Rex's work extensively, noting his intuitive ability to assess each animal's needs and adapt his approach accordingly. Nervous puppies seemed to gain confidence from Rex's calm presence, while more aggressive animals learned boundaries and respect through his patient but firm guidance. The success rate of animals that worked with Rex was significantly higher than traditional training programs. Colonel Walsh visited the ranch regularly to observe Rex's methods and incorporate his techniques into formal training protocols. Rex has taught us that military working dogs possess emotional intelligence and nurturing abilities that we previously overlooked, she explained during a conference presentation. By recognizing and utilizing these qualities, we can improve both their active duty performance and their retirement outcomes. The media attention around Rex's story had also sparked a nationwide conversation about animal welfare and the treatment of military working dogs. Adoption rates for senior dogs increased dramatically, and several other military bases reported discovering their own Rex stories among their working dog populations. Jake, who had remained in contact with Rex and often visited the ranch, was amazed by his former partner's continued evolution. Rex has found his true calling, he reflected during one visit. He was always a protector and a teacher, but now he gets to express those qualities in ways the military never allowed. He's happier and more fulfilled than I've ever seen him. The success of Rex's retirement had also influenced policies regarding military working dog handler relationships. Jake had been offered the opportunity to work with the Rex program, helping to identify other dogs with similar nurturing potential and facilitating their transition to mentoring roles. Perhaps the most remarkable development was the establishment of the Rex Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting military working dog retirement and animal welfare programs. Donations poured in from around the world, allowing the foundation to fund veterinary care, training programs, and research into military dog psychology and welfare. The foundation's first major project was the construction of a specialized facility adjacent to Martinez's ranch, designed specifically for retired military dogs transitioning to mentoring roles. The facility included training areas, veterinary services, and comfortable living spaces for dogs like Rex who were beginning new careers in animal welfare and education. As Rex approached his 10th birthday, he showed no signs of slowing down. His work with the mentoring program had given him a sense of purpose that kept him physically active and mentally engaged. The 3 puppies he had raised were now full-grown adults, successful in their respective roles as family pets, therapy dogs, and companions to veterans. The bond between Rex and his adopted children remained as strong as ever. During their reunions, Tank, Honey, and Peanut would still seek Rex's approval and guidance, demonstrating the lasting impact of his early care and training. These gatherings had become annual events that attracted visitors from across the country, turning into informal celebrations of animal loyalty and the power of second chances. Rex's story had proven that military working dogs were capable of much more than anyone had previously imagined. His transition from battle-tested warrior to nurturing father figure and mentor had redefined what retirement could look like for animals who had served their country. Most importantly, Rex had shown that sometimes the most important missions are the ones that choose us, and that love and protection can take many different forms throughout a lifetime of service. The legacy of Rex and his 3 rescued puppies would continue to influence military working dog programs for years to come, ensuring that future generations of service animals would have opportunities for meaningful and fulfilling retirements that honored both their contributions and their capacity for continued growth and service in new roles.